Hey, this is OXDF, and today we're doing the PowerShell terminal from the Sans Holiday Hack 2024. Let's go ahead and jump in. So are we ready to begin? Yes, let's go. So this is going to spawn me up a PowerShell terminal in the browser. I've got the font here kind of giant, so it's visible. I'm going to have to shrink it a little bit if we get too much stuff on screen, but let's see. So basically the prompts are going to be up here at the top, and we have to do those things. So there's a file in the current directory, and it is called welcome.txt. We want to read that. So in PowerShell, really, I could just do cat, because PowerShell cat usually aliases over to the actual command they're looking for, but it doesn't actually work here because cat's not a command. I guess they probably removed a bunch of the aliases. So we just need to do get content, oops, like this, welcome.txt, and we get our welcome. In these Tmux terminals, usually they fit on the screen if you're not zoomed up this big, but you can always Control B and then page up to see what it actually says here. There's some text here. It's not super important. We'll keep going. I will have all the answers to this in my blog post for this as well as all the rest of the Holiday Hack solutions. If you want to check those out, there'll be a link in the description. So question 2, how many words are in that file? Okay, so we're going to get the same thing, and we're going to pipe that to measure object, like that. And specifically, we want word. We want to measure the words, and then the result. The result of this will actually solve it if we do it. So you can see here there's 180 words. If you wanted to truly just print that, and the reason I put these in parentheses like this is because then you can do words like this, and it just prints the 180. So I think it's a better answer. So let's see. There's a server listening for incoming connections on this machine. It must be the weapons terminal. What port is it listening on? That's an easy netstat ANO. And again, I'm going to Control B and page up again because it prints it out kind of big. We can see right here the local host. There's a listening service on localhost 1225. You could also find string. Let's see if this will work in PowerShell. If I find string on listening, nope. We can do. The PowerShell is select string. Yeah. So now we can just see the listening ports. And specifically, we only have one TCP. In fact, we could do, if we really wanted to, we could do select string TCP. And now we'll get the single TCP listener, which is this one right here. Okay, question 4. We should enumerate the web server communicating with the server using HTTP. What status code do we get? So that's going to be in invoke web request. And then we're just going to do HTTP localhost 112.5. And we get back a 401. I will almost always add a use basic parsing to the end of that because if we do get some results, that's going to make it more legible. I do that out of habit. I don't know if it's actually necessary in this terminal. We'll try without it and see what happens. This looks like a defensive measure in place. It's protected by basic authentication. Try authenticating with a standard admin username and password. There's a couple ways we can go about this. One simple, we need to get a credential. Well, there's a few ways. We could explicitly set the header value. So there's an authentication header value that gets set in the HTTP request. We could actually just set that as a header, and that involves taking the username colon the password, base64 encoding it, and sticking it as a header value. That's not a way I would approach for this challenge. I want to get a credential object and then pass that to invoke web request. There's a couple ways we can do that. First, we could do get, let's see, we'll say cred equals get credential. Yep. And so we can say user admin, password admin, and now we have this cred object, which is a PowerShell credential. That works perfectly fine. If we wanted to instead, we could also do pass equals convert to secure string admin as plain text and force. And then we could say cred equals, and then this is where we would say new object. This is system. Whoa, typing here. System management automation. I always mess up the order on this. Automation PS credential. Boom. And then we're going to pass to that. The username is admin, and the pass, which is the secure string. And that cred will be just as good as the exact same cred as what we had before for admin. So we can do either of those. That'll work. So now we want to pass that back to the web request. So we here and we do credential cred, and we get an error, and it says we can't do this because you are trying to send credentials over an unencrypted HTTP connection. There's a way, and tells us if we want to do that, specify the allow unencrypted authentication parameter. So we will do that. And it's really nice that tab completion works. So what do we get back? We get back this response object that has a status code, it has a description, it has content, it has raw content, and we can look at each of these. So if I put this in parentheses here and I do status code like this, oops, was that not what it was called? I don't know why I did status code first. Oh, no underscore. I guess we see it's a 200. If we do content, we get the page. And you can see this page here. You know, there's HTML body, grab your tokens. There's a bunch of endpoints. If we do, oops, I didn't really need to delete that, but if we do raw content, we get back the same thing. Oops, Control B, page up. Except this time we actually have the HTTP headers. This is the full HTTP response. We can see the headers here. We're running a Python workscope, so it's probably a Flask application we're running against here. So anyway, just that's what we're looking at here. So the next one is, okay, we are getting, let's see if we can make this. Okay, resizing the windows a little bit here. There's too many endpoints here. Use a loop to download the contents of each page. What page is 138 words? When you find it, communicate with the URL and print the contents to the terminal. Okay, so we need to loop over all of the links. One thing I'll notice, let's see if we go back up here, boom. One of the things we have here is links. So we actually have a list of all of the links that are in the page, and that's actually really handy. So we don't need to parse that out ourselves. We can just loop over that. So what are we going to do? We're going to invoke web request, and we're going to do links.href, and that'll get us the things, and we can see those are all the endpoints. So now we can do a for each object, and we want to say page equals invoke web request URI is equal to $. So when you pass a for each object, we're going to take all these links, we're going to pass them in, and we're going to loop over them one by one, and then each one of them is going to, in the loop, ends up getting passed this $_ underscore, and so that's how we're going to use this. That's going to be the URI, and then we can say if page, we did this already, so we measure object word like that dot words, and then we say if that's equal to one. In fact, let's just do this. We'll say, get the if for a second. We'll say page measure object word, and let's break there. Can we? We just need to close this. And we can see the number of words across each of these requests, so we can actually see. We see there 138. There's the 138 one right there. That's not what we want to do. So what we really want to do is we'll say if and measure object word dot words equal, oops, in the space there, 138. So now if we get something equal to 138, make another block, what are we going to do? We're going to page dot content and break. And boom, we've completed number 6. If we zoom up a little bit, I think, let's see, Control B, page up. So there's a bit of a poem here. Again, sorry for the giant font, but it goes over best in videos. But the thing about this page is, and if you dive in and look at all the other pages, this one has the note to self, remember to remove the temp CSV file at this thing. And so that's, we're going to want to read the contents of that file, as this says. So let's go ahead and do that. See, so give some space. We want to invoke web request here / token overview.csv, and I think that's all we want really. Well, I just deleted it. Shoot, we probably need our credentials, but let's go ahead. We'll try without it first and see if we actually need it. So if we do this, we need the credentials, so we'll do credentials cred, and we're going to get our error, and we need allow boom. So let's see what we got here. We want the contents, so let's just go ahead and put this all in there and do contents. Oh, we didn't get anything. Get contents here or no? Oh, content. No S. Boom. Okay. So, and that solved that challenge. Let's go up here. So what we have here is we have an MD5, we have file MD5 hash, which is a little ambiguous, and then we have the SHA-256 of the file MD5 hash. And for some reason, that SHA is redacted. And this will come back actually in the gold part. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me that we actually redacted this because, or that they redacted it, because I can compute the SHA-256 of something. But we'll come back to that. If we come down here at the bottom, one of them is not redacted. And we can actually, let's do it now. Cyber chef. Go here, let's grab you. Cut, I don't know if that'll work or not. Let's see. Yep, that worked fine. And we're looking for 4216B. I have the wrong cyberchef.org. I don't think I'm at the right cyberchef. GCHQ cyberchef. Make sure we go to the right one. Yeah, this looks better. I don't need all these ads. Paste in, oops, nope. Grab, copy, paste. We want SHA-256, which is a SHA-2 at a size 256. And we'll notice that doesn't actually match. But if we put the new line on, it does match. Again, it's kind of weird to include white space at the end on the new line on it. But if we're doing a file, maybe that makes sense. But so we'll see 4216B4, 4216B4. So this is just a SHA-256 of this value. So then we have system log, endpoints, memory corruption, not all been redacted, verification endpoint still active. You're going to want to hit /token / SHA-256. And so we want to communicate with that endpoint. So let's see. Can I go up a little? Yeah, here we go. Let's grab, this is the SHA-256. We'll copy you. So we will invoke web request /tokens /paste that in, and there's a credential, and let's just get the thing. Well, let's get the contents. It's probably easier to see if we do the content. Missing cookie token. So, and now that solved our challenge 8, and we're on to challenge or step 9, and it's saying we're missing the cookie token. We're missing a cookie named token. So we need to set a cookie. So we're going to create a variable called web session. We're going to make that equal to new object, Microsoft PowerShell web request session. I'm not sure why that doesn't autofill. Maybe because it's wrong. New object, Microsoft PowerShell. Oh, we're missing it. Commands. That, boom. Okay, so we now have a session, and so we can say web session dot cookies dot add new object system dot net dot cookie. We'll call it token. And this part is like kind of the guessiest part of this challenge in my mind. I didn't really love this, but the token, what we need to think of these is the token and the hash of the token. And so the token here is this right here, the MD5 sum. We'll grab this, and we'll paste it in, and we will put it there. We want this to apply to the entire website, and the site we want it to apply to is localhost. And that should, do I have enough parentheses? I think that should do it. So now, if we do web session dot cookies dot get cookies on localhost, on, let's give it a URL, HTTP localhost. You can see the cookies here. There's this cookie here that is called token and has a value there. Okay, so we've set that. Now let's go back up here to our invoke web request, and we need to add web session and web session. And we hit enter, and boom, we get a response. It says, sweet, we got an MFA token. We might be able to get access to the system validate the token at that endpoint. So now we have the cookie MFA code, use it at, this is weird. This href should be a URL, and for some reason, I think they switched them maybe. Like maybe this URL should be in here. I don't quite know, but this is the token clearly, and this is the URL. So we're gonna hit it. So first we need to set the cookie. So we'll come back up here. Where's our cookie add? And our, let's see, we'll clear this out. And we'll clear this out. And so now the result is, what are we supposed to call it here? MFA code. And the value is this right here. And now that we set that, we can invoke web request again. The same, oh, we need to go to a different place though. So now we need to go, let's see, where was it? Right here, MFA validation date slash, and then the same hash there with our cookie. Missing, so it's the system currently on lockdown, missing cookie MFA token. So we set it to MFA code. It's maybe supposed to be MFA token. Come back here. Token. Now technically we have both of those there, but that's fine. It won't hurt anything. Cool. Okay. System currently in lockdown. Failure token has expired. Default timeout set to 2 seconds for security reasons. So I got to do this fast. And so to do it fast, I really need to write code that parses that out. So here's what we're going to do. Let's get ourselves some space. We are going to come back here to invoke web request right like this. Slash token slash our URL. Cool. That all looks good. Now what we want to do is we'll say dot content, and we'll say dash match href equals, and we say anything that is not a closed single quote plus, so one or more of them, and then we'll close that. And oh, we need to let's see, href equals, then we're going to start a capture group. We're going to pick anything that's not a close quote, then we'll close quote here and like that. And let's see if we get back. Oop, we didn't have, we didn't finish. What are we not closing here? Match href equals. Oh, I think we'll see out of this. Yeah, okay. So we're going to take this. Let's try again. Dash match open thing href equals thing there. What do we want to capture is going to be in there. And then we will close this. What we want to capture is anything that is not in single quote, one or more. Boom, we got false. Oh, we're using the wrong request. Let's see, we don't want MFA validate, we want this one, tokens. So let's try that again with the same stuff right here. Copy, paste, true. Okay, that's good. So we matched on that. And now in PowerShell, once you match, you can do matches one like that, and it's going to give me the value. So I come up here. I probably want to do like into out null because I don't need to actually see it. And now I can do matches one. And I'm getting the token, and the token is changing. That's fine. Okay, so now I've got the token. What do I want to do with that? Well, in fact, let's. Oh no, did I lose my window? No. Okay, phew. We will say code equals matches one. We want to save that. Now we can say web session dot cookies dot add, and we'll say new object system dot net dot web dot cookie. And this will be called MFA token. Its value will be code. It's going to be good on the whole site, and the site is localhost. And we close that, and so now we've added it to our session. Now we can invoke web request. We are going to hit HTTP localhost 1225 slash MFA validate slash, we want our SHA value again. Whoop, did it again. See if I can get this. Oh, that's what I'm clicking on. Let's go up and get it from somewhere cleaner. There we go. Right here. Copy Q to get out of that. Paste it in. So now I'm hitting the validation thing. I'm going to credential. I'm going to pass my cred. I'm going to web session. I'm going to pass my web session. And I think that's all I need. Let's do raw content to see what comes back. Oh, we missed our allow. Boom, success. That's it. You know, we got back, let's see, let's go up a little bit. We got back our request, and it's got success with some base64 encoded stuff. And it says that looks like base64, decode it so we can get the final secret. That is as simple as system, and by as simple as I mean way more complicated than it would be on Bash. Encoding, like that. We do utf8.get string. And then from there, so that is going to take a bunch of bytes and convert them to strings. And the reason we need that is because we need system.convert on here, and this is going to be from base 64 string, and that takes in the base 64 string, and it's going to spit out an array of ints, bytes. So that's where we need to take this, why we need to feed it into the second step there. We will copy, we will paste, we will enter, and we have been granted access to the Snow terminal cannon. So silver is solved. If I stepped out into the game right now, they would tell me, okay, you need to get gold, you need to go back to, let's see, all those endpoints at the beginning. Not at the beginning, all of those tokens that they gave us. And those tokens here, they're like, well, you know, some of those might still be active. And the fact that they're active, even though their hashes are redacted, we can recreate those hashes, which I've already shown we did right here in PowerShell. So cool, we can recreate those. So what does that mean? We need to now loop over all of those, trying again to get access to them. So some more code. Let's see. Invoke web request. And I'm going back to HTTP localhost 1225. And we're going to go to token overview.csv. And we will then credential, I still have my cred, and I will allow unauthenticated, and we'll do content. That should spit us out. Okay. Now we want to take these, and we want to go into each one and get out this value right here. We want to find these MD5. So we're going to say, I guess the first thing we'll do is we'll say dot split, and we're going to split this on new line. And in PowerShell, backtick n is the new line. So now we'll have all the lines. And then we can say for each object, and we'll say $_ split on comma, like that. And we'll get the 0th thing, so we'll get the first thing. So now we've got just everything up to the first comma in each line. Now we got some lines in here that are not, in fact, we can print this, I think. Yeah, so you can see we have just up to the first comma for these things, but then we also have some junk in here that doesn't matter. So I want to get things that are just MD5 passes. So we'll say where object, and here we're going to say $_ match, and then we'll just do another regex. So we'll say start of the string. And then we'll say A through F, it's all lowercase, right? 0 through 9. And there's going to be 32 of those because we know those are MD5s. And we'll end string like that. And now we have just those hashes. Now, we need to take each of those and do something with it. So we're going to come back here. We're going to pipe this into it for each object. Another set of these. And what are we going to do with these? Well, the first thing we want to do is get the SHA hash to go with it. And frankly, I had to, this is the type of thing you just throw in a ChatGPT or Google or whatever, and you get it out. So we'll say it's join system.security.cryptography.SHA256. 256 create dot compute hash, and then this will be system.text.encoding utf8.get bytes $_ and this is the trick I noted before. I need to add in a new line to the end because I don't have one on there currently. And now that should be good, except I want this in hex. So I'm going to say for each object, and we're going to then print it as 0:x2 like that. And that will give me, yep, that should give me that 0:x2 like this. There we go. 0:x2. Yep. And then we do with it for $_ and I didn't clear. Oops, I didn't finish something. Where did I? Let's Control C. So I showed the where object works. This works. So it's just back at that next loop, and for some reason it didn't come, so we're just going to do it again. For each, I might object. We need that, like that. Here we're going to have quote x2 x2. Close thing, close bracket, like that. Minus f $_. And then that. Boom. Those are not it. Oh, we didn't do the hash. We just took everything and converted it to hex. I'm surprised that actually worked. But let's keep. So I'm gonna grab this. I'm gonna go back to some notes here I have off screen to grab. Let's just do it like this. I do this and paste. So we have for each object. We're gonna we're gonna get the hash. We're gonna have it print out the bytes. We're gonna get the value here, which is this. We're gonna append the new line. We're gonna get the hash of it, and then we're gonna print it as hex. If we run that, boom, here's our 42168 blah blah. So we now have each one of these things. We're going to be doing these. We're going to work through this loop here. The question is, now that we have this, in fact, let's just say, let's come back here. What can we say? I'm going to come up here and say, this is what is this thing called? This is the hash. So we're going to say $hash equals that. That. Cool, that seemed to work. In fact, I can say hash. Oops, does not like that there. I think I'm gonna need a semicolon. Cool, we're printing the hashes. So I've taken all of this thing and put each one, now I get a hash out of here. We should also track the code. Did I say that somewhere? For each object, so we'll come here and we'll say token equals $_ like that. So now I have hash. I can do things like if I want to do hash comma token. Now I'm getting out the hash comma token. It's kind of the opposite of what was printing above. But you can see we've got those objects we can play with. So now we've got them. What are we going to do with them? Well, we want to hit each of the validation endpoints. And so we're going to come here and we're going to say, wait, we don't need to print it anymore. I'm worried this whole one-liner is going to get longer than the whole screen, but we're going to go for it. So we're going to now say, for each one, we've got the hash. So now we can say websession.cookies.add like that. I'm going to go ahead and just grab off of my previous run here, and this. Oops, let's see. Does that look right? Yep. Okay. So we've added that. We're going to add the cookie, and then we're going to say response equals. We'll say invoke web request. We've added the cookie already, so now we can just add the web request, which will be to http :localhost 1225 slash. This will be tokens slash hash slash $hash. So now we've got the full hash, and we can add in, we'll need our credential, $cred. We will need our web session, $web session. I think that is it. Now we can say, so we've probably put this here. We now save that result as response. So now we have a response. What are we going to do? We'll say response.content match. And now we're going to pull out that token value. So we're going to say, well, let's just do response.content and see what we get. Not a valid thing. Let's see. Where do we open one parenthesis, close that parenthesis? I'm missing a semicolon here. We're missing one of our allow. Cool. So what we just saw here is, it's kind of big, but we're hitting all of these canary tripwire possible. In fact, let's do, might be a little easier to see if we do raw content. You can see going up here, we are getting, here's our response, and each one of these things has canary tripwire, unauthorized access detected, endpoints have been scrambled, basic token tactics, fake hold threshold set to 10, default token value set to 2 seconds, your current token. So it's giving us the same thing, but each of these have an extra fake out problem set to 10. So that's worth knowing. We're going to go ahead and just try anyway. We're going to see if we can get them. So we're going to say, rather than printing content here, let's see, we'll do response.content. We'll get rid of the raw. And we'll say match. I don't know why I keep typing right there. And we're going to do our same thing we did before. So we'll say href equals anything that's not a closing quote plus, like this, close your quote there. And we can just do out null because we don't care about, we don't want to print whether it matches or not. What we want to do is we want to say code equals matches 1. Now we've got the code. We've got the code back. This is just like we did above. And so now we can do, in fact, I'll just grab it. We can do the same thing where we add this in as our cookie. So we'll grab this and paste it in. And then we are going to call the validate endpoint, which is going to look something like, whoa, like this. So we've added our cookie in, and now we're going to call the validate endpoint, which is here. We're going to give it our credential, cred. We're going to give it allow there, and we're going to give it the web session, web session. And we're making a bunch of requests here. We just didn't do anything with those requests. So then after that, we can say validate response dot raw content. We're getting a bunch of access denied. Let's go up here. So the last one, we got our success. There's our silver solve again. But the rest of them, we're getting logging access attempts, access denied. There's this attempts cookie that gets set here. I'm actually curious to see if we do web session dot cookies dot get cookies for local HTTP local host. Did we set that? There's MFA token. There's MFA code. There's token. Oh, there it is right there. There's attempt. So we are setting that cookie into our browser. This part's a little bit silly too, but really the solution here is we need to hit it 10 times. There's a hint one of the elves gives us that if the solution is to block you until you try enough times, and it doesn't, and it said above that the threshold was set to 10. So I'm going to come down here and where I have my validate response, I'm going to say for $i equals 0, $i less than 10, $i plus plus. So we're going to basically do that 10 times, and then we just put this around the validate response, and we come here, and we put it here, and it's going kind of slow. You may have seen right there, I think we just got it. You can see right here, we've thwarted their defenses. We can now close the terminal. I found this to be a little unsatisfying, so let's do it a little bit cleaner. What I'm going to do here is, rather than just print the responses, we will say if validate. I have that. Why do I not have access to that? If we're just gonna add validate response. Not match. Error access denied. So if we don't have error access denied, I think I don't need you. Okay. Then what do I want to do? I'm going to go ahead and print validate response dot raw content. And then I'm going to break 2 to get out of 2 loops. And it should work. It takes a second, but it runs until boom, we're done. We have success. You've defeated the mechanism. You've defeated the defense mechanisms have been deactivated, and we've solved our gold. So this was complicated. It took me when the first time I went through it, it took me a lot of troubleshooting and working with things to get it working. I don't love these challenges where I have a loop that is too big for the screen when I'm recording a video here, and having to run it as a one-liner. I wish there was some sort of text editor you could do online in this terminal that would allow me to write a script that looked a little prettier than this, was a little easier to follow than all of this just like stuff piped into each other that was then, stored in variables and just like wrapped on one line. I know you can put multi-line stuff here in the terminal. I find it very hard to deal with, and it introduces other weird things. So yeah, that's the terminal. That's the challenge. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.